Oh, no, 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 that's a little bit too close, my friend. That's gonna end poorly. Oh yeah. Hey, at least it wasn't in the water this time. Today I've got a complete autonomous tracking comparison between the new DJI Mini 3 Pro and the Skydio 2 Plus. There we go. Now it's the Plus. Now, while there are plenty of differences between these two drones, including the features and the price, I am hyper-focused in this video on the autonomous tracking bits, both the obstacle avoidance as well as the actual tracking itself. And for this video, I'm taking this out into the real world to do real-world tracking on real-world circumstances with real-world trees. None of this like walking around a football field sort of stuff. We're going out and we're gonna see what we push these things to. Now, while I have lots of experience with both of these drones in a tracking standpoint, for today's test, I'm doing a back-to-back scenario. So I'm going out in the exact same day, time, conditions, all that stuff, literally just back-to-back on the exact same route. Today's course gives each drone about 30 to 40 meters before it's right into this tree tunnel, dodging trees and ensuring it's still tracking me along the way. If it gets out of the tunnel, then we go into kind of the forested section here. Here they have to go under trees as well as over trees, around trees, while tracking me on a small trail. And then finally, if they clear all that, we'll get to some more high-speed open bits and maybe a few other things tossed in there just to really push these things to their limits. Now, while both of these drones are completely autonomous in their tracking, I mean, they're looking at you as an object and tracking you as an object as opposed to tracking a controller or something like that. In the case of the DJI drones, you still have to either take your controller with you or have someone else hold on to the controller. So in this case, I'm taking my controller with me using a bike mount. This bike mount costs like 20 bucks or so. I've got it in the corner up there. Just simply mounts onto my bike and I can put my phone into it. Works super well, even mountain biking and stuff like that. That of course means I'm using the standard remote control with my phone as opposed to the new DJI RC. I have used the DJI RC in active tracking tests. There's a picture right there of me doing exactly that. I just don't have a great bike mount for it. So for today's test, to keep things kind of simple, I'm going to use just the older remote. I'm also not going to use the Skydio beacon for the Skydio because that's one extra, and two, because I want to see its native internal tracking capabilities. Now, when it comes to sports tracking, there's really two parts to that. The first is the actual tracking of the person itself in terms of autonomously following that object. However, the second piece is arguably more important, which is the obstacle avoidance portion of it. And both these drones have different sensors to do that in quite a bit different way. So in the case of the Mini 3, it's got three sets of sensors. It's got these frontwards ones right there, you see at the top. It's got these two bottom ones that are right there. And then it's got two rearward ones right there. Now in the case of the Mini 3, these sensors have two different kind of ranges for the field of view. They have a horizontal range like this, and they have a vertical range like this. For the front sensors as well as the downward sensors, those two vertical ranges actually overlap to form a much bigger picture in terms of obstacle avoidance. The rearward ones are also pretty wide, but not quite as wide as the frontward facing ones. That's something to be aware of. The core thing it's missing though is side obstacle avoidance sensors. There is nothing on the side here like there is on the Skydio or even the DJI Mavic 3. Meanwhile, in the case of the Skydio drone, it has 6 obstacle avoidance sensors and the camera itself. So the 6 sensors are right here, there on the top, and then you flip it over, another set, 1, 2, 3, and then it has the camera for the tracking. And the same is true of the DJI Mini 3. It uses its front camera for the actual tracking itself, versus these other cameras are all about obstacle avoidance. For the Skydio, it therefore has complete 360-degree obstacle avoidance, meaning it shouldn't hit anything no matter which direction it's flying, sideways, forward, backwards. With that, let's get straight into the testing, starting off with the Mini 3. Okay, so at this point, I've got the Mini 3 up in the air, but there's a couple quick things we want to always double check. The first one is to ensure that we're in normal mode. You'll see if I go to sport mode right there, obstacle avoidance isn't available. That's super important to understand. Even though we're doing a sport mode is about flying fast without obstacle avoidance enabled. And as you can see right over here, this would end very, very quickly without that enabled. So I've got that back to normal mode right there. You'll notice when I do that, by the way, in the upper right-hand corner, you can see that thing go to red. That is the obstacle avoidance sensors. So we're back to white, which means we're good to go. Tap this up here as well and look on the safety tab, the very, very top. And you can see obstacle avoidance action bypass, meaning it's going to go around whatever we have as opposed to just simply stopping and waiting for the next command. Below that, we've got the display radar map. That shows me what it sees as obstacles. So if it does hit something later on, we can see whether or not it actually saw what it hit. So the next thing is to double check the resolution, 4K 30. That's the maximum allowed for active track. You can't go any higher than that. It'll actually just tell you that'll fail if you try. The other thing to note is that you do have to be in landscape mode. So if I go real quick here to vertical mode, I'm just swap this over like this and highlight myself, you'll see do not enter this mode in portrait mode or vertical mode. It just doesn't work at this point in time. DJI says they're hoping that eventually everything will be equal across both of those, but for now you got to do it in in horizontal, and go ahead and deal with that later in post. So I'm going to put it behind me here. So get over there. I'm going to keep it reasonably low because we got some trees here, of course. It looks like I'm clear, which is good. So now I'm going to go ahead and highlight myself just like that. And you can see now I'm highlighted. I choose Active Track, and I got two options, trace and parallel. trace means to follow from behind, parallel means off to the side. In this case, because we have no sideways obstacle avoidance sensor, that would end pretty darn quickly up here. You can do it in other places like the beach and stuff like that, where you got nothing around, but for now we're gonna go. One last thing, I wish you would always do this. It never does this. Just hit the record button. Like really, if I'm in this mode, just hit record. We know we want that. So best I can tell, I am totally clear here. I'll obviously stop if there's someone coming, and I'll stop if the drone hits something. So I'm gonna go down this very, very slight decline now. We're only talking a meter or two going downhill. And I'm just gonna slow roll it until I'm into the trees to see what it does. Remember, it should see these obstacles at this point in time here. There we go, it's like it's lowering down just slightly. Nice, we got nobody in front of us, this is awesome. There we go, it's going down below that. You can see it sensed that right there. Perfect. Let me a little further ahead than I want. Uh-oh, getting close to these branches, but so far so good. Let's see if I can speed up slightly. I'm only going about 20 kilometers an hour, so it's like about 13, 14 miles an hour. You can see it's kind of starting to suffer a little bit, slowing down behind me a little bit too far back. I could probably lower it slightly. I can do that with control sticks here. Bring it down slightly, just to see if it gives them more clearance, maybe it'll speed up a bit. That's usually how DJI drones work. When they get too close to obstacles, their obstacle avoidance basically sensors kick in and they slow down. So if I'm out on the beach or out in other places, I've been going much faster with this without any real problems. And hey, now that I think about it, this would be an awesome time to whack that like button. It really does help out this video and the channel quite a bit. And it's still holding on to me. I'm not going very fast. My guess here is, is anyone coming behind me? Nope. You can see it's starting to lose me and it's done. There we go. Nope, I'm gonna go ahead and fly it back up to me here. And you can see I'm going full throttle right now forward. I'm full stick forward, and it just senses it's too close to the ground and too close to other objects. That's really common actually for DJI drones when they get within a certain range of the ground to simply just be too cautious and go ahead and slow down. Versus the Skydio later on is like balls to the wall, let's just roll with it. There's just a trail here, got some trees around it. It might be a better, funner test, because it's a little faster because there's no cover right above it, and to see how it handles. Hopefully this mount stays on here. Doesn't feel too secure today. I don't know what I did wrong. So far so good. I'm not going that fast, mostly because it's mount right now, but I'm going way faster than before. Way is, I guess, all relative. I'm going faster than before. I was at 24 a second ago. Again, I'm just trying not to slip here. But you can see going forward through here, it's following me. Like, it's not having any speed problems in here. If I can get a clean stretch to sprint, I will. Here's some trees though. Here's some interesting stuff. There's trees everywhere, you know what I mean? There's some trees coming up. It's about to get spicy, folks. Okay, swing there. Will it go over or under? That's a question here. Over or under, what's it gonna do? What's it gonna do? Don't go into it, go around-ish, kind of, maybe. Over, oh baby, it's going over, holy cow. Why can't your Mavic 3 friend do that? Your big brother, oh, and you lost me when you had me. Okay, you can do this next stretch, I know you can. It's an under and then an over, and then I think you're home free. I think we're out of here. You got it, little buddy, you got it. There we go, going for the under. It's got the under, okay. It's gonna go around or over, hopefully not through. Okay, it's going under. I would've gone over, but you know, hey, it's a boss. Okay, now it's got a chance to speed up here because I got this corner, 90-degree turn. Uh-oh, is it gonna lose me in the cornering? Nope, still got me. It still got me. It's still at an altitude and there's someone coming, so we can't go that way. We can turn around though. Okay. Now don't kerplunk into that tree when you make your turn. You can do this. No, that's a bad idea. Oh, little buddy, this isn't gonna end well. Come on, find the obstacle behind you. Good job, you found the obstacle behind you on the turn. The U-turn, okay. There, it's doing the rotation. It's the usual J-turn move. It's gonna lose me behind the bush though. If I can't, oh, you see me? Oh, come on. Come on, you can do it, over the bush, over the tree. Over, I'm right there. Oh, it got me. Now, granted, I slowed down a ton, but hey, you know, sometimes you have to help out those little kids. Here we go. Under. And I think we're clear. We're almost clear. Can you get back to our starting point? One assist, but you know, you did good here, you did good. Now at this point, in order to keep the video less than an hour long, you can see it's following me just fine. I'm gonna speed this footage all up here. And ultimately, it only lost me when I eventually outsped it in a section of trees quite a bit later on. And I go off into the sunset. And now as we go on here, we're gonna switch into the parallel mode, which is obviously risky in the trees, but that's sort of the point. I wanted to kind of show you where those boundaries are and some of the risks in a relatively safe environment. There's no water this time around. Active track, parallel, go. Here we go, we're backwards. Gotta get below this tree though. You can't see the tree, I can see it. Oh, no, 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 it's a little bit too close, my friend. That's gonna end poorly. Oh yeah. Brunk, brunk, brunk. Don't touch the prickly ones, don't touch the prickly ones. Oh, I'm gonna be hurting later on. Hey little dude, you're still alive. I had to try, right? I had to see if it could do it. And still, I am solidly impressed because most of the other drones from DJI over the last year have been flying directly into tree trunks and tree branches and tree limbs head on. None of the side stuff, just kerplunkage straight on in. And you, my little friend, you've got it figured out. You should, again, like I said before, give your big brother a lesson or something like that, because he's got issues. Now, before we move on to the Skydio, I just want to clear up one quick thing around the speed limitation that we saw with the Mini 3. That is because it became within about 3 meters of some sort of obstacle from a tree, etc. So it reduces the speed to be able to react to that. If I get out in the clear, like you see right here, it has no problems following on tracking. In this case, it's doing about 40 kilometers an hour, about 25 miles per hour, both from behind as well as then later on in parallel mode on the side. So speed and tracking isn't really an issue on the Mini 3. As long as you've got clearance and space around you, it'll follow along just fine. So with that, let's dive into the Skydio 2 Plus and see how it rolls, or flies, or something. Okay, so here we are ready to roll. I've got the height 4 disabled for this, so that can go as low as it needs to get around obstacles, these trees. Otherwise, it's 2.4 meters above the surface, about 8 feet, which might be a bit tight in some spots. So gonna give it all its go here. I trust it. I tap myself, it's as simple as that. And you can see it's gonna track me from the back, that B that's indicated right there. I'm just gonna roll down this just like I did the other one. You'll see it'll reassociate itself to the back there in just a second. There we go, the same kind of speed I did for the Mini 3. Let it automatically catch up here. There we go, it's moving along, no problems. Now it's kind of slow. It's a bit wobbly though, like there's just no reason for all this wobble, wibble, wobble. Wibble, wobble, wibble, wobble, I don't know how you say it. I just swallowed a fly a second ago, so. I mean, it's all over the place here, but it's not crashing. Like, to its credit, it's holding on for dear life on this, like, Bill and Ted's wild ride around trees and everything like that. But there's no real reason. Let me just speed up, though, see if it'll figure things out. Still, I could stick it out somewhere. Like, I could stick it out to the right if I wanted to, though it seems like it's doing that half the time by itself. I'm going to increase the height. There we go. And this is admittedly like one of the cooler things that it's just very good at, assuming it doesn't hit any tree branches, but they're pretty few and far between. You can see it's going in and out, trying to avoid whatever it sees there. There we go. Oh, that's a tight one. Oh, it's going down, up and around. And I'm gonna put it over here. I got some people coming up, so I'm gonna stop it. The exact same section of trail we did before. And it can choose where it wants to go on this. It's gonna set for behind just like the other one. You can see it's definitely not as smooth as the Mini 3, and that's kind of one of like the characteristic Skydio 2 things. Probably not for better, but it is what it is. But it does avoid things a lot better, even if it's kind of wonky about it sometimes. There we go, let's head through this section here. It's gonna go under, it should go under here. Shouldn't be a problem to pull this off with this little guy. He's usually pretty good at this. Uh-oh, you gonna lose me? Nope, he's got me, okay. And this is where the Mini 3 lost me before, that little section right back there. Remember I had to pause and catch it back up again. So here we go. I know that section's clear because I just went through it. There's the same kind of J-turn maneuver that we saw the Mini 3 do in that spot right there. Wasn't quite sure what we wanted to do with itself. It's gonna go down below this gap here. This is pretty cool actually. I wish you could see this, my GoPro's died by now. Okay. I mean, it's just wild stuff. Like, it is just like Tarzan right now, swinging through these trees trying to follow me. YOLO, that was a bit close. And it's not in front of me right now because it just decided that, yo, I can't figure this out. I'm just gonna hang out until it's safe out here. And then my guess is as soon as I hit the clearing up here, it's gonna get in front of me. I mean, this is insane. Like, it's just swinging through trees. I'm eating flies everywhere. It's vaguely in front of me, like, you know, technically speaking, yeah. Tree. Okay, it's got it. Okay, we're getting to the clearing time, so now you can see it's settling itself out. It sees everything in front of it's all clear. It's getting to a much smoother view here. At this point, I'm gonna speed up some of this footage to get past it. The Skydio 2 never once lost me from a tracking standpoint. The entire time, it also, as a spoiler, never crashed either. I can swing it out to the left there, and it can do that. It can gain on me, so it's at my side now. But watch, I can stick it out in front. Here we go, 3, 2, 1. That's cool. It's really only something the Skydio can do this well. Okie doke. I didn't kill anything today. No DJI drones killed today. No Skydio drones killed today. No phones, no controllers. Successful day so far. Okay, so with both drones successfully on the ground and not in the canal, let's talk about some of the differences in terms of both the sports tracking and then also the larger differences between these two drones. When you look at sports tracking, as I mentioned earlier on, two components, obstacle avoidance and the actual tracking itself. Both drones did a really good job in terms of the actual tracking itself, as long as I was within range. The main issue with the Mini 3 is that when I got closer to obstacles, it slowed down quite a bit. So if you're in a tight environment, that's going to be a tough thing to be able to go very fast because it just can't keep up. Meanwhile, the Skydio 2 had no problems keeping up. Even when it was like dodging and weaving around trees at full speed, it was doing it at my full speed. I couldn't really shake it. Of course, the Mini 3 is limited in that it can't go sideways from a tracking standpoint. So it's great when it's following from behind. I had no problems on any of my tests this day or any other day in terms of tracking and obstacle avoidance doing that. But as soon as I put it sideways, you saw it very quickly ran into a tree, and even trying to put it somewhere else, it often went where I didn't necessarily expect it to. And that's again where the Skydio 2 Plus excels, and I can put it anywhere around me, and it's going to safely do so. The challenge, though, is that when it comes to the video quality and the stability of where that drone goes, the Mini 3 is just so much better. As you saw in that one tree line section at the beginning, the Mini 3 stayed right behind me where it was supposed to, nice and clean, versus the Skydio 2 Plus was like a drunk uncle, just all over the place trying to dodge and weave trees like it was a ski race course. And it does that a lot, and I don't necessarily understand why. But it should be noted, the Skydio 2 Plus isn't perfect. If I were to slide back here, I've got a previous drone test that I haven't quite got around to publishing yet, where the Skydio 2 Plus ended up in the canal. And mind you, you may be thinking, what about the Mavic 3? Nope, I've got another one of those too. And here is the broken Mavic 3 that also ended up hitting a tree on the same test. And obviously I haven't quite got around to doing the warranty on this or even getting the video out. But the point being though that there's just gonna be bad days where these drones just don't do what you expect them to do in an active tracking standpoint. So you gotta understand that there is some risk involved in this. That said, if we take these two aside and kind of compare the larger picture of things, and I guess this part too, the one thing to keep in mind is that the Mini 3 is definitely a drone that's 80% focused on all the other things, 90% focused on all the other cinematography and photography sort of stuff, versus the Skydio 2 is 80-90% focused on the sports tracking piece of it. So essentially, if you're doing mostly just sports tracking, I would go Skydio. But if you're mostly doing everything else, I would go Mini 3. It's really as simple as that. For me, in terms of what I do, the fact that this is so lightweight, even with having to take the stupid controller with me all the time, makes it really appealing and cycling because I can fit this in my back jersey pocket, no problem at all. I've done that numerous times now, even again with the controller in the back jersey pocket too, versus this ultimately requires a secondary bag come along with me. I'm hoping for like a Skydio 3 model, we get something closer to this, and inversely, I'm hoping for like a Mini 4, we get something that I don't have to use a controller, kind of like back in the days of the Spark. Now, if you want more information on the Mini 3, I've got a complete beginner's guide. It's like 45 minutes long of all these features, how they all work, linked on the screen right there. I've also got a similar sort of thing for the cinematic skills on the Skydio 2 Plus, as well as like all sorts of other videos. You see them on the screen. As usual, if you find this stuff interesting or useful, whack that like button or consider subscribing. I've got lots more videos on all these things coming up very shortly. With that, have a good one.